Some people say that once you reach a certain age, like 30, you are supposed to stop gaming. They believe gaming is only for teenagers or children. This is an outdated mindset. Meanwhile, many of those people spend hours binge-watching shows, scrolling through social media, or buying useless items online. But gaming is where they draw the line. Just because they don't understand it doesn't mean gaming is childish. Some of us enjoy life without becoming boring or robotic. What do you think? Story 1. I am 41, in the best shape of my life, and play a lot of video games. I have no intention of changing. They can leave me alone. Story 2. What do you mean, deal? People think you should not play video games as an adult, so what am I expected to do? Plead my case. Story 3. Original poster. I'm a 45-year-old man currently playing MotoGP 25 with my 23-year-old and 19-year-old sons. Gaming is a lifetime activity. Tell some people to go away. Story 4. As long as you are taking care of your responsibilities, you are doing just fine. As we used to say back home, you do not pay my bills, so be quiet. Now, if you are living with your parents and they are paying your bills, then you must listen and put down the video games. Story 5. They do not pay my bills. I do. My wife and I sometimes play games together, and I do not let it interfere with everything else. All of this is to say, it is none of their concern. Story 6. I don't care what someone else thinks an adult is supposed to do, like being into golf, lawn care, and grilling at my age, I guess, and fishing and football, maybe. I don't know. I don't care. I'm grown, and I can do whatever I want. Basically, I treat anyone who thinks they can tell me what I'm allowed to do within moral and legal bounds, like Ron Swanson. Story 7. Who cares? I first played games on Commodore 64 and Spectrum 48K. Then I moved to Amiga. Then PlayStation. Then PC gaming. Then PlayStation 3. Then Mac gaming. I am Generation X and do not care what people think anymore. Each to their own. Some people obsess over football and spend thousands of pounds on season tickets each year. To me, that is madness. Story 8. I would simply upgrade my friend list. Not everyone is going to make the cut after all. As for those people, I do not care what they think, believe, or their opinion. I have a limited amount of time in this world. If they want to ignore their own experience, I say go ahead. I, on the other hand, want to have fun, be entertained, and do the things I enjoy to make the most of my experience on this planet. Those people have no value in their opinions. It is hypocrisy at its finest. Gaming is bad, but spending 6 hours a day on TikTok or other social media, like those 100+ people on that friend list, does not mean they care who you are or even know you. Some people obviously need validation due to many factors. Others play games and enjoy their life. Story 9. The best thing about being a certain age is that I do not have to care about what people think. I am completely unapologetic about my interests, which include video games, roller coasters, and being a straight man who likes musical theater. I am 53 years old. Story 10. Back when I was still playing World of Warcraft, there were guilds on my server with all members over level 60. I am level 55. My interests have shifted, but I still play various games daily. Currently, I am very into Dual Universe. I am playing on free public servers since the main live server just shut down. Most players here are over 30 years old. Story 11. At a certain age, you stop caring about how other people think you should spend your time. People are judgmental in general, so I forgive them for not understanding. Everybody has their vices. Story 12. I do what I always do. Not care about them or their words. If they want to be vocal, I just say, mind your own business. Story 13. By continuing to keep playing them, forget anyone who says I cannot do something I enjoy when I have done all my work for the day. Story 14. If you think sitting in front of a television 16 hours a day every day is enjoying life and not being a boring robot, go for it. The main problem with gaming is that it is not catered to casual gamers. I watch about an hour of television most nights. I do not know anyone who calls themselves a gamer who plays video games less than 6 hours a day. You can barely get anything done in an hour on a modern game. It is all they do and all they talk about. It is their only interest. A staggering number of them yell at their game, throw controllers, and act like absolute babies online as well. For regular people, this is off-putting, and reasonably so. I do not know anyone who spends that much time on a golf course or in a fishing boat, but if they did, their friends, family, and significant others would have a problem with that too. I do know a man who spends that much time watching sports. He is a gambling addict. Story 15. People can think what they like and live how they like. I do not like to waste my time on people like that, so I do not. It is not worth trying to convince them otherwise, so I just go on with my life. Story 16. Tell them to go away. Many adults enjoy professional sports such as football, which are games. Story 17. Who cares what they think? It is a hobby. Plus, most of the time, these same people are the ones who binge watch Netflix for 6 hours a day. Gaming is better for your brain than sitting around binge-watching reality television. Story 18. Ignore it. My hobbies are my hobbies. Stop valuing the advice of people who think that way. They have been saying it for decades. Story 19. They cannot live my life for me. I still get mocked for watching wrestling, but I could not care less about their opinions. Story 20. I am 48 years old and play games more now than I ever did as a child or a young man. If anyone has a problem with it, I do not care. Story 21. I am 45 years old. The game applications on my phone are Mahjong Infinite, Archery Battle, Flow Water, Agent Hunt, Sniper Siege, Crush the Monsters, and Raid Rush. I mostly play them while managing domestic conflicts between my cats. Story 22. There is nothing to deal with. I am not living my life for random people to criticize me over it, so their opinion is irrelevant. If they keep pestering me with their irrelevant opinion, I will let them know that I could not care less about what they think. Story 23. Haven't met any in the wild before. Most other people do not realize what my setup with one wide monitor and a secondary monitor is for. Story 24. So only young children and teenagers can play Grand Theft Auto 6? I am pretty sure that is not the intended audience. Story 25. Sorry, I do not know you, but here is what I think about your hobbies and what you should do instead. Good luck with that. Story 26. The main ones who said that have hobbies of their own, whether it was watching television or movies, or just scrolling through social media on their phones. I no longer take anyone with this opinion seriously. Story 27. Did you tell them that video games are a multi-billion-dollar industry? People invest in it the same way they invest in activities like golf or skiing. I have had significant partners tell me the same thing about video games. I ended those relationships shortly after. There is usually no changing their minds, so I do not waste time trying to convince them. Some people just want to rob you of your joy for no apparent reason. Story 28. It's all about balance. Gaming is easy to overdo, like social media and binge-watching shows. If you're playing games for over 14 hours a week while maintaining a full-time job, you're probably neglecting other important responsibilities in your life, such as cooking and eating, working on your relationships, exercising, going outside, trying new hobbies, seeing and making friends, and spending time with family. Balancing all of this is challenging. There should be room for a long gaming session or two during the year where you play intensively. This also depends on whether gaming is your career, as you would likely be playing most of the day. For those without a full-time job, you might need to consider your focus at that point. Story 29. Phil once asked how long I thought I would keep playing video games. I said as long as I have fun and it does not negatively impact anyone. I never received a bad remark after this. Story 30. You ignore them, the dog barks, and the caravan passes. As long as you are not causing harm to anyone, you are free to enjoy what makes you happy. Story 31. Those same people get very defensive when you mention their hobbies or what they enjoy in their spare time. Just ask them what they like to do to unwind and be critical of what they enjoy. Or be the bigger person and ignore it, but I am too petty for that. Story 32. Tell them to go away. My mother was like that. She thought I was spending too much time playing computer games, while she was watching as many or more soap operas and the continuous feed to Big Brother. Story 33. I found the notion around video games to be quite interesting. I often hear, "It's just a game, why so passionate?" Along those lines. Then I see the same person get loud and feisty watching a football match. God forbid if I mention it's just a game to them. Not to mention, it is not uncommon to see cases involving fans of opposite teams fighting. Both are still just games. At least with video games, I am an active participant. For whatever reason, it is okay to glorify one but not the other. Story 34. I keep gaming. The more they criticize it, the further they move out of my friend's circle. If they continue, they are deciding how much less frequently I talk to them. This applies to all my hobbies and interests. Story 35. I couldn't care less. Like the original poster said, many people waste the same amount of time watching television shows, sports, Formula One, or the Tour de France. I would much rather play Fallout 4, Valheim, or Besiege and spend hours having fun and building something creative. Story 36. I laugh at them and then I go right back to doing whatever I want. People are out here around drugged out, drunk individuals and all manner of debauchery and dysfunction. Then they look down at you with a Nintendo Switch as if you are the degenerate and not them. It makes zero sense. Story 37. It is becoming more acceptable. Gaming is another form of content consumption, like watching television or scrolling on your phone, but with more active engagement. Most adults who game are simply replacing their television time. Some stigma still exists because many young men with addiction problems use gaming to replace a balanced life. Story 38. Their comparison of games is wrong. They see gaming as PlayStation, PC, or other hardcore but worthy games. Meanwhile, many adults are content with simple mobile games such as Candy Crush or other mindless, shallow mobile games. I watched a YouTube video from GameRanks once where they counter-argued that gaming is a waste of time. It is not. It trains your mind better than most other hobbies like reading a book. You gain reflexes, strategic thinking, problem-solving, persistence, and similar skills. People should be allowed to have their own hobbies, no matter how unusual they may seem. The same goes for enjoying Lego, pinball machines, or even water slides at a water park, which is often frowned upon. The main point is that the difference between childish hobbies and any hobby is that it should not overshadow adult responsibilities such as taking care of yourself, your home, and the people around you, knowing when to fulfill your duties and when you have spare time for hobbies. Being responsible is what distinguishes you as an adult, not the nature of your hobby. Story 39. I tell them I pay taxes and have a full-time job, and that means I do what I want with my money. They can go away. Story 40. I have stopped playing games a lot because there is nothing really good anymore that captures the magic of early 2000s and 2010s gaming. Story 41. I do not play first-person shooter games anymore because I do not have the reflexes. I admire those who continue to play after the age of 40. Now, I mostly focus on real-time strategy and role-playing games. Story 42. I am 54 years old and a gamer. It brings me joy, so I do not care what people think. Besides, I cannot afford vacations, a girlfriend, or even evenings out. It is basically my source of entertainment. Story 43. I still do it anyway. I've known people who still do it at 40 years old. As long as it's not harming anyone, you prioritize things that matter and it doesn't take up all your time, you're fine. Story 44. Stop being friends with them. I do not need that in my life. I get joy from my hobbies and hurt no one. Story 45. It is rare for me to find anyone who plays video games regularly, but I have never met anyone who is judgmental towards me for enjoying video games. I think most people recognize that it is a legitimate and valuable hobby, but because of the mental energy required to play video games, most people do not play them. Story 46. Are you really being moralized by people who scroll TikTok for hours? Are you exaggerating? This is obviously hypocrisy if it is true. If it is not true, then consider that maybe you are spending too much time on video games. Story 47. I do not deal with them. I do not have any time for people who judge me for my hobbies. I think 99.9% of reality television is complete and utter garbage, with few exceptions, but I do not go around telling Love Island fans that, and if I did, I would expect to be told to go away. Story 48. I don't. Respectfully speaking, forget them. Let me play and go back to your miserable marriage, Karen. Story 49. It's a shame you feel that way. There are a lot of interesting games out there. I don't go on the attack and I don't get defensive. Just a dash of pity because it is a shame. It's just like when someone tells me they only listen to one genre of music, robbing themselves of a lot of cool stuff. Story 50. 45 and still indulge here and there. Keeps my reflexes sharp and my brain working. I could not care less what people think about it. Story 51. You do not. You can simply be incompatible with some people, friend groups, relationships, or even family. You have to find your people. Story 52. Please leave with that behavior. Now, if you will excuse me, I have tea time with my niece, and I will not allow you to ruin her, mine, or Mr. Hippo's good time. Good day, sir. Story 53. I am a Generation X member, so my response to anyone who tries to tell me something is, 4 kids, is, okay boomer. I only say that because my actual knee-jerk response to this is go away, but for some reason people other than fellow Generation X members get really offended by that. Story 54. I shouldn't play computer games or watch streaming platforms like Twitch and YouTube for the games I like. I guess you can't watch any sports at all then, even if you like them. Story 55. Dealing with immature people is tiring. Anyone who thinks adults have to adhere to a strict list of acceptable behaviors is not worth interacting with. Story 56. I still play my games, and since we got divorced, I love pouring money into that, which before was somehow spent in the household. Story 57. I cut them off and have nothing to do with them. After all, they are so self-serious and busy. They need that time for whatever else they are doing. Story 58. I've never had anyone say that to me. I am 54 years old, by the way. I would just ignore them and maybe ask how long they sit in front of the television every day. Story 59. You are being guilty of exactly the thing you are criticizing. Just because you cannot imagine your life without gaming, that does not make people who do not play or do not understand what you get out of it lifeless robots. I am only bothered by someone's opinion if they matter to me. Generally, people who think they should have and voice an opinion on how I spend my free time do not last very long, usually for a number of other reasons before this is ever a factor. Story 60. In an ideal world, I would explain that at heart I am always going to be a literature nerd who enjoys stories. Gaming provides me with a level of immersion into the story that books or movies do not offer, although I read and watch movies a lot too. I would explain that video games have some of the most amazing stories I have witnessed, and they have taught me many values and philosophies. However, in the real world, the people making those comments will not be willing to actually listen to this point, so I will just ignore them. I am having fun, so why does it matter? Their opinion does not affect or change my life at all. Story 61. If they really wanted to make a big issue about me, a 39-year-old, playing video games, I would ask them when they stopped playing and why, then have a conversation from there. Story 62. I am 30 years old. Unless something drastic happens in the meantime, I will be playing games until the day I die. Anyone who has a problem with it can leave. Story 63. Oh, like video games? No, they would believe everything without question, so I just give them a quick challenge and then go about my life as usual. Story 64. I deal with them by not dealing with them. Do not speak to me about wasting my time as if your ant farming is a productive use of yours. Jennifer. Story 65. Wow, there are a lot of gamers here. I was a huge gamer as a kid and teenager. I lost 3 kilograms in a week because I would rather play video games than eat. But as of now, I don't think I've played any game for 5 years. I went to university, got a job, found friends, and I just had zero time for it. I even went through a stage where a coworker was always obsessing over video games, so I spent $600 on the newest and highest-rated games. I played each for 30 minutes to 3 hours and felt bored and disappointed. I felt like I was wasting my time. Not guilty, just like I had accomplished nothing and that my progress in the game honestly meant nothing. I've tried to pick gaming back up a few times over the last 10 years, but it feels childish to me. I can understand playing a few rounds of Mario Kart with my young nieces and nephews, but as for going to a location, finding something, shooting bad guys, and doing quests, it feels redundant and a bit like it's made for children, even in games that certainly are not. For reference, I don't watch television because it is honestly mind-numbing garbage with more commercials than content. I barely watch Netflix. I do listen to audiobooks because I can do that while I work. Story 66. I do not know. Either they respect my non-destructive use of my own free time, or they are not worth the time I would spend with a friend. Story 67. I laugh in their face and continue to live my life as before. Until someone either pays my bills or satisfies my desires, their opinion is pretty much worthless. Story 68. As an adult, I have the liberty to choose who I talk to. So the next time I meet a person like that, I simply do not talk to them anymore. Story 69. I think that made sense 30 or 40 years ago. I also think that many men over 30 have an unhealthy obsession with gaming that negatively affects their social lives and relationships. Story 70. I don't do it as much as I used to. When I was a child, it was an escape into a more interesting place. Now I want to do more things in actual life. There is nothing wrong with it, though. I just realize how quickly time goes. Do what makes you happy. Story 71. I kind of grew out of video games in my 20s surprisingly because I used to be addicted. In my opinion, video games have been mostly an unproductive use of time and a source of addiction for me. So I would not get too upset if people want you to stop playing. My advice is that video games are good, but only in moderation. Also, there are plenty of healthy activities out there. You just have to find them. Story 72. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 11. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. On the flip side, growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.